Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Blockchain Blueprint. Joining me today is Mark Nezvisky from NDN Link, who kindly requested that we interview him. So we were only too happy to oblige to do so. So I just want to give a big welcome to Mark. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Yusuf and Jonathan. I'm glad to be on your video. It's actually been an honor for us to speak the previous time, and so I guess this interview I'm expecting is going to be even better than we had. And like I said, I'm looking forward to doing more stuff like this with you in the future, specifically because I like what Blockchain Blueprint is about, and I like the idea of what you guys are doing.
Fantastic. So let's get right off the bat. So to open up, how did NTN Link form?
Sure. Well, it formed actually before I joined the company. The idea was born in 2019, basically last year. The guys, it's basically a Chinese-based company. They had this idea that the NDN protocol that is currently being developed by the Oakland University in California, it's actually, has the potential of restructuring basically the way the information is being distributed over the internet. So it kind of caught their attention, and they figured that, combining that solution with the blockchain might be a good idea of, introducing it. Basically, I would say combining the decentralization and security component the blockchain brings, but also introducing the decentralization and security at the network layer. So basically, I guess not a lot of blockchain solutions out there are even considering that, the vulnerabilities, that we have at the network layer. So they saw that as an opportunity, and I also got excited by that idea when they reached out to me, and I thought, it has really great potential. And so that's kind of how we got along in the beginning of this year. So I'm a new member of the team. And now we're working on, developing the product further, and I'm doing my best to conveying or explaining what the technology is to anyone who is interested out there.
Fantastic. And who is your ideal target market? Who are your, are there any industries that your ideal base is from? Like, is there anyone in fintech? Is it in data? Is it in, any form of tech, for instance?
Sure. Yeah, basically, right now we're considering to be more in a live streaming niche. So something, that would relate to online video conferences, or just live streaming that you do, for example, with YouTube or Facebook or any messaging app that, has that ability built in. So any company that utilizes live streaming as part of their solution. Basically, NDN Link would be, let's say, this would be our target market, that they could actually take this technology and use it at their network stack in order to improve, I would say, or cover up the vulnerabilities that and inefficiencies that the current conventional technologies are using for their live streams. So there are a lot of components to it, right? And a lot of problems when people are doing these live streams. But well, we can discuss them later. But the idea is that we want to target those at first, because we feel like there's quite a demand with people, sharing videos, streaming videos, and consuming content, a lot of content in video form, and it creates a lot of load on the network infrastructure globally. More servers need to be created, more solutions need to be introduced in order to maintain the ever-growing infrastructure. So we thought of that NDN Link could be a good solution to help some of the issues that people are struggling with in those particular industries. But of course, that's the initial idea, and perhaps this technology will find applications in other industries as well. I mean, it's like you have an idea For a startup, you think it will go this way, but it ends up turning, a completely different direction at some point. So I would say, we could end up, having NDN Link for other industries as well.
And what would you say? I think you've got some way to answering this question already, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So
Sure.
what are your prime objectives at NDN Link?
Sure. Okay. Well, so the prime objective is basically to improve the internet content distribution by replacing the IP protocol that we currently have with the NDN Link protocol. And for those of you who may not be familiar, NDN Link stands for Named Data Networking. So instead of just to break it down for simplicity, every time we send information over the internet, sending texts, consuming video, whatever that may be, every piece of device has an IP address. And so that's the way the network understands. So this node communicates with this server. With the help of the IP address, they know where to send the location, where to reach, where to send the information, and where to retrieve it from. And so this introduces a lot of inefficiencies. Well, because for one simple reason, let's say I'm consuming content from YouTube and I've watched half of the video. Well, first of all, that video that I watched is being stored on the YouTube server. It's not being actually cached anywhere on the network for future reuse. So if I want to watch it again, I have to send another request. And if we have millions of people doing that, that creates a lot of load on the network, a lot of load on the server, and it ends up actually in basically creating more overhead for the companies to run those servers. And if it's a paid service, it actually affects the cost for the end user. Let's say if that's Netflix, right? And if you have a lot of people watching content there and the network is constantly expanding, basically you need more storage space. You need more people accessing that information and constantly retrieving. So NDN Link, our objective is to improve that by removing the IP address and fetching data by name and then storing it on the routers of the network. So let's say if you're sitting at home, you have your router, you previously searched for some information, it was cached there, you can reuse it. If you don't have that information, NDN Link will just look for where that information can be, fetch it from there. So decreases the load on the network. You don't have to go that far to get it. If somebody else from the network wants to get the same piece of information, unless it's private, of course, if it's public information and on public domain, they can get it because it's already cached on the network. So that's one objective. Another, of course, is safety, because the way the data travels over the internet right now, it travels in raw form. We have a set of certificates that when we go on, let's say on Google, and we have certificates and we're supposed to trust them by default. Well, what if that certificate is forged, or what if the server was hacked, or it was the communication channel was tampered? Whatever the case may be, how do we know that the data is safe, the data itself? And so what our objective is to use cryptographic signature that NDN Link, NDN protocol introduces. So every piece of information, every data packet that is traveling over the internet, it is safe because it has a cryptographic signature, much like you have in cryptocurrency. And so basically, again, if it's public content, there will be synchronous public key so you can access it. If it's private content, only the person who has the right key, or the unique key, can access that piece of information. So that's mainly the two components that we're trying to achieve with NDN Link.
Brilliant. So going on to you personally, where did your interest in blockchain technology come from? Did it stem from Bitcoin?
Actually, initially I got curious about blockchain. I would say I didn't even know what blockchain was at that point. It was like 2013, 14. I just heard the word Bitcoin, and that it's at that point it was like a digital money, and all of those cliche names that were attached to it and labeled to cryptocurrency, and basically Bitcoin at that point. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm not sure I'm ready yet to explore this. Must admit that I wasn't a strong believer at that point. And then for me, it just basically happened not that long ago, 2 years back. in 2018. I was approached by Crypto Daily, cryptodaily.co.uk is the website, and they just wanted to collaborate. So I would, if I would see if I would be interested in getting into the crypto and blockchain space, and because I had the previous experience with content delivery through YouTube, and they thought, maybe I would like to run their news channel. And I thought, well, why not? Let's give it a try. I mean, I don't know much about it. I thought that the Bitcoin train is long gone and Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency out there. And to my, surprise, I was amused to find out there are plenty of other crypto projects out there, and it's not only about Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera. And so kind of got into, in this industry since then and been exploring it. And I find it still quite amazing with all of the evolving ideas that are coming up.
And why did you also use YouTube as a medium like you have? Is this a new thing for yourselves?
Actually, no. I wanted to, believe it or not, I wanted to get in YouTube way back, like in 2006. I was playing guitar at that point, and I wanted to kind of have my own YouTube music channel. But I waited quite a bit of time until 2014. I don't know, for whatever reason that was. I still haven't figured out why I was waiting for so long. And so I kind of, started off doing YouTube videos in 2014. It was just fun. It was just for the sake of it, And it wasn't really a new thing for me. I like YouTube for the information that it brings. I learned a lot of good stuff that is not related to music or crypto in any way. So it's very informative for me and easy to consume content this way. And so I understand that this could be the case for many other people out there, that they just, some people find it convenient to consume content through text, some through hearing, podcasts, and some like, the visual stuff. And so I feel like, it would be a shame not to use this outlet to deliver the news about, NDN Link and explain what the technology is about. Granted that a lot of people may find it easier to consume content this way. And of course, second reason is because it is a popular platform. The attention is already there. So why not, utilize it?
Fantastic. And going back to NDN Link and what you do as a day-to-day, how can building a data transmission network help a company, even though we're a consultancy, as our day job, if you like, but how can it help someone such as ourselves, for instance?
Sure. Yes. Well, I was actually, thinking how, NDN Link could potentially help different industries, different companies, and different people. And, by getting acquainted with Blockchain Blueprint, the first thing that comes up to my mind, I think that you guys, if we get there to that point as NDN Link, if the solution does, prove to solve some of the problems, that the internet faces today, you could potentially use NDN Link as one of your solutions when offering blockchain implementation to your clients. So for whatever specific needs they might have, if you see NDN Link fitting for those needs, it could actually be introduced as one of the options for their businesses. So basically, we would like to create an infrastructure, right, that where companies could create applications on top of it, and or they could let's say introduce, if they're already running an infrastructure with applications on it, they could improve, for example, their network layer, bring in more security, optimize resources. And so this could, Blockchain Blueprint could actually benefit from, introducing NDN Link as part of their solution. That's actually the first thing that comes into my mind. But if we dig in deeper, probably there will be more use cases for NDN Link for Blockchain Blueprint.
Fantastic. How did you also, because I was just on your website not long ago, just before this interview and a few days prior to this, and one thing that came to my mind was how you were able to partner up with so many companies and work with them actively.
Yeah, definitely not my merit, because those companies were already before I came. So it's the people, the team. Currently, we have a team of 10 people, and those guys were working hard to get those companies interested, and basically they introduced NDN Link as a solution, and it was just a natural interest that we did not, convince them to partner up with us. There was no incentive for doing so. Right now, we're partnering up on a basis of, how NDN Link could be adapted to their industry, their technology, and so our teams are collaborating with them to see what are the possible areas of improvement, and they have advisors on their team that help us from the technical side of things. So it's it more stamped from a natural interest to the technology, rather than heavy marketing of of NDN Link.
Brilliant. And what's next for NDN Link? What are your plans for the future, whether that's short, medium, or long term?
Sure. So we, basically there is short-term and there's long-term plan, of course. And like I said, when you develop something, you might have like unexpectancies come up. I mean, when we were talking in our previous interviews, you can end up going in a different path. So right now, what we're working on is to develop our consensus algorithm, and basically, define how it would operate. The economic model, the incentive model. So this is our task for the year. Hopefully, it will happen this year. Together with a test net. Development is you can plan, it could be predictable, but there can also be unexpectancies, such as this one that we have globally right now. It can be internal or external, internal within the team or external, that doesn't really depend on you. So that is subject to change. But right now, this is our plan, is to, develop the consensus algorithm. And this phase, to preserve the good spirit of naming phases in the blockchain industry. It's usually tied to some mythology, right? It's Cronus, right? So Cronus would be our first stage. And the second, and roughly speaking, these stages are divided into a year or so, with a like a 4 to 5 year plan. During this stage, this is our goal. The second one, we're planning basically to standardize how data is going to be named on the network, because when you fetch data, you need to make sure that there's a standard across the whole network, because otherwise it's like going to youtube.com and you end up on Amazon or something like that. So there has to be a standard for that, together with a possible release of our token, because right now it's ERC20 based. So that's the second phase. The third one is called Uranus, and our goal for there is to basically handle the registration of names. So it's no youtube.com, no amazon.com or google.com can appear on the network, to basically replicate or simulate. So the data would be unique and immutable on the network. That's where we're going to be working on phase 3, and of course working on the routing of data and forwarding, so that whoever wants to fetch a piece of content, video, wherever that may be, we're going to be testing to see how efficient is NDN Link. How efficiently is NDN Link doing that? What is it optimized enough? Is it, where are the bugs, the errors, right? So more miners are going to be introduced on the network to actually test the system for vulnerability and see if the economic model is working correctly and the consensus algorithm is functioning properly. And if we get that out of the way, all those 3 phases, which should be about 3 years from now, then the last one is basically Titans, as we call it. And it's implementation of NDN Link on a global scale, running as either an overlay or a substitute for the infrastructures that the company have worldwide, and testing it out on different platforms and see how it's going to work out. And that's basically a long-term plan. Short-term, of course, I guess on my part, is to simplify as much as possible this to basically for people to understand and grasp this concept. And of course, I'm always trying to maintain this healthy balance between not being too technical and not being too simple. So actually people see value behind it. So it's not just, nice marketing words. And yeah.
Fantastic. And where do you think NDN Link fills a gap in the market at the moment?
Sure. Well, like I said, partially repeating myself here, there are very few blockchain projects. The other ones I can think of is a collaboration with IPFS from the team behind Filecoin, with NDN, the team from Oakland University. This would be one example that is similar to us, but they're more focused on data storage. Another example would be NKN, and we'll be the third. So if we take from all the blockchain projects out there, basically no one has had a full rollout and implementation of the NDN protocol so far. And the companies that are on the market that are doing that, everyone kind of has their own niche. Like I said, we're focusing more on basically data transmission, right? Distribution for live streaming and content. And whereas other adapters of NDN Link protocol are focused more on data storage. So that's, I guess, where we kind of come in, and that's what differentiates us in a way from other blockchain projects. And specifically because every blockchain project right now at the network layer still uses an outdated IP protocol that is 40 years old, which served us really well at that time. It was indeed a great revolution, and thank you to Paul Barron for, and the team behind it who was doing that. That was a great shift from the telephone lines. But now, one of the indicators that we need a new solution is because, for example, IPv4 protocol exhausted the amount of IP addresses that it could generate. And with the amount of growing demand for content consumption, we moved to IPv6, and we think that it's a lot of IP addresses that can be generated. But we thought the same thing about IPv4 at some point, and data storage when we only had like 10 gigabyte hard drives, and now we have like several terabytes of storage space. So we need to be a little bit more kind of like looking into the future. And I think NDN Link is a natural evolution cycle from the current way we are transferring data. Yeah.
Brilliant. So is there anything else you'd like to add that we may not have touched upon?
I guess, if this video brought a little bit of value to anyone, then, I would appreciate, sharing that, spreading the word on your social media. So, like more people know about this project. This support at this point helps us greatly, so we can kind of get the reassurance that we're on the right track, and get some feedback from the people. If you have comments, I would appreciate them down below. I love answering questions and communicating. If there's a flaw in our system somewhere, there's a gap that could be improved, we're definitely open to that, to work on it and improve this technology as we go, so we have a solid product to deliver in the end.
Fantastic. And if people wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way of doing that?
Sure. Well, basically, you can either go to ndn.link, which is our website. We have a YouTube channel, of course, Facebook, and Twitter. So these are main social medias that we are communicating through at this point, and you can find us easily by just typing NDN Link in either of those. There are not a lot of keywords related to NDN Link as of now.
Fantastic. And I'll put these all in the description just below, and that'll be either on the screen or in the descriptions below. And everyone watching this, please give NDN Link a follow or a like on his Twitter or on all his socials, and we shall see you soon.
Thank you, Yusuf. Appreciate the interview and the questions. It was a pleasure.
Fantastic. See you soon.
Bye.